Welcome back. Today we're working on lesson 16. We're doing compound inequalities. Up until now, we've been doing one inequality at a time. A compound inequality is just two. So let me get some pen going here. In a compound inequality, as far as words go, we have the word and, or, we have the word or. And we're going to just look at a couple real life scenarios so you can hopefully see how they work. So for example, number one, let's see. Okay. You cut class or you get detention. Now, in real life, they generally go together. But for an or statement, it could be you cut class. And in isolation, you randomly get detention. Or it could be both. For an and sentence, it has to be both. You cut class and you get detention. If both of those things don't happen, then it's neither. For now, here's the actual math definition. A compound inequality is more than one inequality in a problem. So, and here's what we just went over. If it's an and statement, both pieces have to be true. If it's an or statement, it can be one or the other, or both can be true. So let's just use some numbers. Sometimes, believe it or not, it's easier to work with numbers. So example 1 says determine the truth value of both inequalities and then determine the overall truth value. Just make sure, okay, just making sure I'm recording. I want to do a different color. So our first problem here is 7 bigger than 3. Remember, the alligator mouth bites the bigger number. That's true. And, okay, is 10 bigger than 2? Yeah. Both of those are true, so the whole thing, the whole statement is true. Now look at letter B. Alligator mouth bites the 10. That's true. And now look at this one. Alligator mouth is biting the 11. That's false. Because it's an and statement, both of these have to be true. So the whole problem or the whole statement is false. Now for C and D, we're looking at or problems. Let's look at this. 7, alligator mouth bites the 7. That's true. Now in this case, alligator mouth bites the 2. That's false. But because it's an or statement, the whole problem, whoops, that's not right. Because it's an or statement, only one piece has to be true. So this whole problem is true. If this had been an and, if this had been an and statement, then both would have to be true. But because it's an or, that doesn't matter. Now let's look at letter D. 3 is bigger than 6. That is false, but it's an or statement. So let's see about the other one. 5 is not bigger than 8. That's false as well. Because nothing is true, the whole thing is false. Okay, multiple choice. Which of the following compound inequalities is false? Explain your reasoning by showing the truth values of each of the individual inequalities. So we are looking for where it's false, okay? So let's just go and do each problem. So 5 is bigger than 2, or it doesn't matter what the other one is. This statement is true. If you have an or with at least one true, you're good to go. This guy, number 2. 5 is bigger than -6. Yep, that's true. And 7 greater than or equal to 7. That's true. This whole statement is true. Number 3. 10 is bigger than 0. It's an or statement, so that whole thing is true. Hopefully this one will be false. 4 is bigger than or equal to -2. And alligator mouth bites the 5. That is false. So number 4 is false. This is your answer. So for exercise 2, we were just comparing numbers. Now, well, I lost my problem. Is it thinking? Well, here's page 9, but there's nothing on there yet. Okay. This is page 9 on my wonky file. It says page 10. Now determine the solution set of blank. So on my paper, the graphics didn't carry over, so I'm just going to rewrite the problem. 3x plus 8 greater than 9 and negative 2x plus 10 less than 7. So the directions also say determine if x equals 1 is a solution of these two. So what we're going to do is plug this x equals 1 into both problems and then figure out what's true and what's false. I'm feeling brown today. So as far as justify, it means show your work. So wherever I see an x, I'm going to plug in a 1. 3 times 1 plus 8 greater than 9. Evaluate this. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 8. Is 11 bigger than 9? True. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other inequality. So over here, I'm going to plug a 1 in. Negative 2 times 1 plus 10. Okay, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 plus 10. That's 8 greater than 7. Alligator mouth is biting the 7 here, so that's false. Now we have the word and. To be true, they both have to be true. It's not, so the whole statement is false. That means x equals 1 is not a solution. For letter B, we're going to do the same thing. Let me rewrite it. So x equals 5, and here's our problems. 2x minus 1 is less than 3, and now we have the word or x plus 7 over 2 equals 6. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to plug a 5 in. Okay, so we have 2 times 5 minus 1 less than 3. Evaluate the left-hand side, you get 9 less than 3. Well, that's false. But because this is an or problem, the other one might save us. So I'm going to plug my 5 in for x. So 5 plus 7 over 2 equals 6. Now we're going to evaluate that. You can put it in your calculator, use alpha x, and you get 12 over 2. 6 equals 6. This is true. So we would say down here, everything is true. So x equals 5 is a solution. If the statement's true, then it's a solution. If it's the whole statement's false, then it's not a solution. We have one more page. We're on page 10 right now. Let's see how my graphics worked. Okay, they kind of translated. Now we're going to graph these on number lines. So, and problems usually have 2 points on a number line with a bar connecting. Or problems have arrows going in opposite directions. So we're going to practice graphing these. Exercise 4 says graph each of the following compound inequalities on the number lines provided. And then for C and D, write the inequalities as a single statement. We'll get there. So we have x is less than 1. Open circle, arrow goes in our classroom to the door. It goes to the left. This arrow, these two match. Now x is greater than or equal to 4. Dot, color it in because there's an equal to bar, and that arrow goes in that direction. I wonder if I can make these a little thicker for these. And we'll change the color while we're here. Oh boy, that's super duper not what I wanted to do. Okay, that's better. X is greater than 7. Here's the 7. I'm not going to color in my circle because there's no equal to bar. And the arrow goes to the right. Or x is less than negative 2, and that goes that way. So in both of these or problems, our arrows go in opposite directions. Now let's do C. I'm going to do this, then I'm going to erase it. X is greater than -3, so that goes in that direction. And then less than 5, and that arrow, let me change the color. Let me try to change the color, goes in that direction. What happens is the arrows overlap. And that's why for an and statement, what you have to do is just basically plot the points and connect it with a bar. Okay, now let's do the next one, letter D. So we have a 9. There's an equal to bar, so I'm going to color it in. And then a 0, again, equal to bar, so I'll color it in, and you connect them. Now the directions want us to write these as a single inequality. So what I'm going to do, put my leftmost point, -3, my rightmost point, 5. Since the problem has an X, I'm going to put that there, and then my alligator mouths always point in that direction. Same thing for letter D. My left point, my right point with an X. Now these dots are colored in, so I still do the same direction, but this time I put an inequality bar. Okay, last two problems. I'm going to cross that out because we don't need that. One is an or, one is an and, so X is less than -3. And then my arrow goes that way. Now, X is greater than 4, greater than or equal to, so I'm going to color that one in, the equal to bar. Arrow goes to the right. Letter F, X is greater than 0. Oh, it's an and problem, so I'm going to just do a dot, another dot, and since it's and, there's a bar in between. To write it as a single inequality, we have our left number, our right number with an X, and then our symbols. We're going to practice this more during the next lesson, but as always, if you have any questions, please ask.